To begin, imagine yourself on a plane about to take off from Los Angeles. New York City is the plane's destination. The pilot enters all of the necessary data into the plane's computer, and the plane takes off in the proper direction. However, suppose that not long after launch, the pilot inadvertently modifies the flight course slightly. He merely shifts it by 3.5 degrees, which amounts to only a few feet. The plane's nose slips slightly to one side, and no one notices, not the captain nor the passengers. However, the impact of this minor alteration would be significant over the course of the travel across the United States. The befuddled passengers and even more befuddled pilot would arrive in Washington, D.C. rather than New York City at the end of their trip. So, what's the point of telling you this? It's because, like the perplexed pilot, we don't really notice the minor changes in our life. Small adjustments have a small, immediate impact. If you're out of shape today and go for a 20-minute jog, you'll be out of shape the next day still. And if you consume a family-sized pizza for supper, you will not get obese overnight. However, if we repeat these modest acts on a daily basis, our choices add up to big results. If you eat pizza every day for a year, you will most likely have acquired a significant amount of weight. Jog for 20 minutes a day, and you'll ultimately be leaner and fitter. Even if you don't see the difference now, you've already figured out the key point here, right? Minor behaviors may have a surprisingly significant influence on your life. And you won't always experience this impact in real time. You won't see the effects of your behaviors until you've been doing them for a while. But how can you get started on the correct track? You must form habits. So, there are a few points I learned from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. 1. Small behaviors may have an unexpectedly large influence on your life, which I explained just now. And the second point is, building new habits needs clear indicators and a plan of action. Third point is, if you want to build a new habit, make that habit as easy to adopt as possible. And the fourth one is, making your habits immediately satisfying is essential to effective behavior change. The 2-minute rule is the second strategy for making a habit easier to maintain in the long run. This is a technique for making any new endeavor feel good and doable, which brings us to point 3. If you want to build a new habit, make that habit as easy to adopt as possible. The underlying premise is that every activity may be reduced to a 2-minute habit. So, if you want to read more, don't make a weekly commitment to read one book. Instead, make it a habit to read 2 pages each night. Alternatively, if you want to run a marathon, commit to just putting on your running clothes or running shoes after work every day. The 2-minute rule is a method for developing easily achievable habits, modest successes that can lead to bigger things. You'll probably go for a run once you've put on your running shoes. You'll most likely continue once you've read 2 pages. The first and most critical step toward doing something is just getting started. Point 4, which is our last, is making your habits immediately satisfying is essential to effective behavior change. Our brains have evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over the delayed rewards. And the cardinal rule for behavior change is what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. We get this short-term burst of dopamine from eating chocolate or drinking boba in my case, or like for children or teenagers nowadays, scrolling aimlessly through Instagram. And these kind of things makes us more likely to repeat these bad habits. And to develop better habits, James, the author, he says that we should try to attach some form of immediate gratification. I can best explain this by drawing on the experiences of a couple I know. This couple wish to eat out less, cook more, get healthier, and save money. These are long-term objectives. To give their goals an instant boost, They started a savings account labeled Trip to Europe. They transferred around like $500,000 or $35 to the account every time they avoided eating out. The instant delight of seeing $35 appear in that savings account was just what they needed to keep them on pace for the ultimate longer-term payoff. So here's what I've learned. A small shift in your conduct will not improve your life overnight. However, if you make that activity a daily habit, it has the potential to result in significant improvements. Making major breakthroughs or reinventing everything you do is not the way to change your life. Rather, it is about developing a good system of behaviors that, when combined, produce extraordinary outcomes. Finally, I'd like to offer you some words of wisdom. To introduce new habits, we will have to go for habit stacking. If you want to start a new habit, consider stacking it on top of an existing one. Assume you want to start going to gym but are unable to find the time. Consider the activities you do on a daily basis that come naturally to you, such as watching YouTube. Then just add the new habit on top of that. Or for example, commit to going to gym or at least doing 100 push-ups before you watch YouTube each night. And then you can capitalize on the natural momentum that comes from a habit you already have. Thanks for listening.